After this postseason, most people now look at Jimmy Butler as one of the best playoff performers ever. But after 2 finals appearances and no rings to show for it, it may be time to address the truth about Jimmy Butler. If he wants to win, he needs Damian Lillard.
Miami, obviously. Miami is the obvious one. And Bam is my dog. Bam is my dog, for real. But I think Miami the obvious one.
Jimmy Butler is a fan favorite. The man always seems to be the underdog in these playoff series, and after everything from his story to his play style and that killer mentality that makes people want to root for him. Unlike a lot of star players, he gets high praise and love when he's doing well and playing great, but when he plays like absolute trash, everybody turns a blind eye. Nobody wants to be the one to say it, nobody wants to discredit Jimmy, but after flat out choking in the finals this year and not showing up in points where the Heat needed him to be that star player, it's time to start having this conversation. The reason why people don't want to give Jimmy Butler the same smoke they give every other top player in the NBA, Jimmy Butler time and time again does more than what is expected of him. When the Heat entered the playoffs as a play-in team and matched up against the Milwaukee Bucks, everybody thought the Bucks were going to dominate them. And in the most impressive way possible, Jimmy Butler went off in this series, dropping a career-high 56 points, hitting game-winning clutch shots, and the 8-seed Miami Heat defeated the 1st-seed Bucks. After this series, Jimmy Butler was looked at like the next Michael Jordan, or Michael Jordan's son. He had good numbers, he shot well, and he showed that he could lead the Heat to victory. In the second round, the Heat were matched up against the New York Knicks, and despite them having a worse record, they were definitely the favorites. But the Eastern Conference Finals is when Jimmy Butler and the Heat were really put to the test. Going up against the defending Eastern Conference champions in the Boston Celtics, which also happened to be a rematch of last year's conference finals. Nobody knew what to expect, considering the Heat were still the 8th seed, and the Celtics were 2 games away from a championship last year. And in the rematch, the Heat pulled off a win in 7 games. And Jimmy had a good series, averaging 24 points, 7 boards, and 6 assists a game. But we saw something in this series from Jimmy that was very concerning. In Game 6, when the Heat were about to choke a 3-0 lead, they had a chance to end the series here. And Jimmy Butler absolutely choked. He was actually terrible and debatably the most important game of the series. This was the same game that Derek White hit his historic, amazing clutch layup to win the game. And if Jimmy Butler would have stepped up and not played terrible, this buzzer beater would have never happened. For those that don't remember, Jimmy shot 5 of 21 in this game, 23% in 47 minutes of play. Regardless, they won in Game 7, and then it was on to the real test. Jimmy had been here before in the bubble against the Lakers, and it was time for him to get his revenge. It was time to see if Jimmy Butler could do the impossible once again and win a championship. Leading up to the series and during it, all Jimmy could say in interviews was that he was going to win the championship. He wouldn't even hold the Eastern Conference Finals trophy because he was so confident that he were going to win. And in this series, after all of the talking, Jimmy Butler choked once again. He didn't shoot well and seemed extremely passive the entire series. And the Nuggets defeated the Heat in a gentleman's sweep. The Nuggets were a better team than the Heat on almost every level. And it's not the fact that they lost the series, it's the way that Jimmy Butler played when his back was against the wall and the pressure was on. He's great when he's not supposed to be there, and it's easy to give him his respect when he shows up. But nobody seems to hold Jimmy accountable when he chokes in the moments that matter. This video isn't to discredit Jimmy and all of his accomplishments, even though it may seem like it, but this video is to discuss what's next for him in his career. It's easy to tell that Jimmy Butler is not going to be able to be the star player on a championship team whose second best player is Bam Adebayo. It's just not going to happen. But if the Miami Heat were able to add one of the best point guards in NBA history to their team, the narrative changes. I'm of course referring to possibly the most clutch playoff performer ever, Damian Lillard. This man has not 1, but 2 series-ending game-winning shots in his career. And finally, after years of us begging Dame to leave and compete for a championship, he finally requested a trade. It's been a few months since he requested this trade, and we've heard nothing about it since. But the team everybody assumes he will end up on, and his number 1 destination is none other than the Miami Heat. This trade is the best case scenario for everybody involved. Dame has never been able to truly contend for a championship yet in his career, and with him having the supportive pieces around him like Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, and a coach like Erik Spoelstra, he will have a much higher chance of winning his first championship. Looking at the Heat's roster, it's honestly a perfect fit. The Heat made it to the finals with their best point guards being Gabe Vincent and a old Kyle Lowry. And although they played good, this is Damian Lillard we're talking about. There were so many moments in the finals where it really seemed like the Heat just needed that one extra scorer. Just one go-to guy besides Jimmy and Caleb Martin who can consistently get the ball in the basket whenever and wherever. And who better to fill that role than Damian Lillard? For Dame to be looked at as one of the best players to ever do it, or looked at even higher than he is now, a championship would definitely help. But Dame could have easily just stick with the Blazers and kept up his loyal guy persona, and none of us would have been surprised. So Damian Lillard is, in my opinion, not absolutely reliant on the Miami Heat. But Jimmy Butler quite literally might need Damian Lillard to save his legacy. If Jimmy wants to compete on the level that he does, Damian Lillard is the answer. Judging off of how competitive he is, I'm sure he's not going to like the narrative that he couldn't win without Dame. But despite the narrative, Jimmy will still be respected for winning a championship. And if they aren't able to get this trade done, I'm confident Jimmy Butler will fall short once again. He's easily one of the best NBA players of the last decade, and he really has the potential to be a top player. But after watching this man shrink in the moments that matter, it's sad to say that Jimmy Butler may not be the player we think he is. All we can hope for now is that this Damian Lillard trade goes through and the Miami Heat super team is built. With the amount of time that has been taken, you gotta wonder what the Blazers front office is thinking. They are still gonna be able to build around Scoot Henderson and try to get some more solid young players, but it's gotta be a difficult situation trading away the greatest player in your franchise's history during his prime. Yes, Lillard is a better Portland Trailblazer than Clyde Drexler. I hope this video wasn't too hard on Jimmy Butler. I love watching him play, and he went insane in these past playoffs for the most part. But some of the conversations about him and his legacy have gotten insane. Do you guys think the Heat has what it takes to win without Dame? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, but that's all I've got for today. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to check out my last video where I discuss the possibility of Giannis getting traded to the Golden State Warriors. But with that being said, I'm out of here, and I'll see you on the next one.